Without further ado, thank you all for being here, and I'll now turn it over to Jackson County Executive Frank White, Jr.
Thank you, Marciana, and thank you all for being here this afternoon for this update. We're here today to announce that the downtown Jackson County Courthouse will be closed until Tuesday, February 19th. This decision will allow our team to continue to work without interruption. The damage to the courthouse is extensive, and I have complete confidence in Public Works Director Brian Gaddie and his staff, our partners, contractors, to address the current situation. They will need adequate time to get this job done. We must do this the right way for the safety of our associates and of our citizens. Our priority is fixing the situation at hand so that we can reopen the courthouse as soon as possible. While we will not know the ultimate cost for some time, based upon what we do know, and we believe a significant portion should be covered by our county's insurance. Moving forward, we are committed to ensuring that this historic building is taken care of. And with the help of the legislature, we will use this as an opportunity to kick off significant improvements to our downtown courthouse. We appreciate the community's understanding, the community's patience as we deal with this issue. From day one, we have worked closely with Presiding Judge Byrn so the courts can make alternate plans as quickly as possible and inform the public about those changes to reduce their inconvenience. This announcement allows them to continue to do that. I want to specifically thank, again, Judge Byrn and the 16th Circuit Court for their partnership and also for their cooperation. I'd like to thank Legislative Chair Teresa Galvin for her leadership and for the legislative support. Brian Gaddie and his team for the countless hours of hard work and dedication to date. The men and women of KCP&L, specifically Governmental Relations Executive Janet Waddell, Kansas City Water Department Director Terry Leeds and his staff, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, and all of our contractors. I want to collectively thank all of you for answering the call and providing your expertise. I'd like to thank our county associates who have continued to keep this county running, and we could not serve our community without them. And again, we ask for the community to be patient and understanding as we go through this time. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Brian Gaddie, who is our Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. Again, my name is Brian Gaddie. I'm the Director of the Department of Public Works for Jackson County. As many of you already know, early last Thursday morning, the 31st of January, service water line leading to the county courthouse ruptured, causing a significant amount of damage to the significant amount of water in the courthouse's basement. As a result of the flooding, numerous systems in the basement were either extremely damaged, severely damaged, or completely destroyed. Over the next 72 hours, we worked around the clock working with a number of individuals and a number of teams, contractors like the executive mentioned, Kansas City Power and Light, Kansas City Water Services, R. Fisher, Rand Construction, Power Electrical Consultants, and ServPro of Lee Summit to start to begin the necessary repairs to the county courthouse. Sunday, February 3rd, after safely and diligently completing a number of these systems and bringing them back online, we began to really look into these systems, make routine checks, prove our due diligence on these systems. And unfortunately, after completing those checks, we suffered a second line break in the 6th floor of the county courthouse. While the damage is largely cosmetic, it will take some time to make the repairs necessary to bring these spaces back to their previous state. Currently, ServPro of Lee Summit is dehumidifying the building, the affected areas in order to begin that restoration process. We expect that the work still is going to be aesthetic in nature, but we do have some time, like the county executive mentioned, ahead of us to bring this back to a fully completed state. I'd like to personally also thank the county executive, legislative chair, presiding judge, for their cooperation in this process. It's been a very difficult time, though we have bound together and are making the necessary repairs in a very timely manner. I'd also like to thank my team of facilities management, Rick Gurla, administrator, for their countless hours and diligence towards this project. The contractors we've worked on this project have been amazing. We've had the A-team of just about everybody who's come out, and that allowed us to do this in such short order. Finally, I'd like to thank the citizens of Jackson County for their patience and allowing us to complete this process. It's been a difficult time for us as well. I know it's caused some scheduling conflicts, and we'll do the best we can to bring things back online. At this time, I'd like to introduce the presiding judge of the 16th Circuit Court, Judge David Byrn.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. County Executive and Brian Gaddie. Many others at the county who've spent countless hours over the past several days addressing the damage at the Kansas City Courthouse. On behalf of the 16th Judicial Circuit, we appreciate your work in addressing the current situation, as well as the commitment from the county and the commitment of the Jackson County Legislature to proactively maintain this historic building. We believe that this slight extension in the closing of the facility, although it's an inconvenience, certainly will be in the best interest of the public and all the governmental entities that utilize the courthouse. It's important to note that notwithstanding this significant disruption, the court has continued to be operational. As I mentioned, this is clearly an inconvenience and a frustration to litigants, to attorneys, all of the citizens of Jackson County. We recognize that, we are sympathetic to that, and we have been and continue to be committed to do everything that we can do to minimize this inconvenience. We do also ask for your patience as we move forward. The temporary closing of the courthouse in Kansas City has resulted in the court losing the use of approximately 50% of the available courtrooms that we have. It has also resulted in a displacement of numerous divisions of the court and hundreds of our staff. We've moved our personnel, we've moved our court divisions to other locations to maintain our operations. We do look forward to the reopening of the courthouse on February 19th, as the county executive has mentioned, as that will allow us to regain the use of approximately 16 courtrooms that we cannot currently use. We recognize there will still be approximately 5 that will be under construction, but having access to the 16 courtrooms that we cannot now access will significantly alleviate some of the disruption that we've been encountering. Fortunately, in Jackson County, for the 16th Judicial Circuit, we have many other court facilities available to us, including this courthouse, the Family Justice Center, and the Albert Reederer Community Justice Complex. All of the hearings at those facilities have continued as scheduled, and in fact, I think you would find that the number of hearings at all of those facilities has actually increased dramatically as we've moved cases from Kansas City to our other courthouses and facilities. The court is committed to the prompt administration of justice at all times, and certainly during this time of disruption. It's important that all litigants have their day in court as quickly as possible. Therefore, we have continued to call dockets, we've continued to hear cases, and we've made every attempt to have every case heard as scheduled. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that every case has been heard on time and as scheduled, but I can assure you that the vast majority of cases have been heard. This has involved moving these cases, hundreds of cases literally, to other locations, sometimes even conference rooms or meeting rooms where those hearings can take place. We're going to continue to provide notices on our website, and I thank the county for doing the same thing on its website. We'll provide as much information as we can about the location of hearings. This information can also be found on CaseNet as it pertains to specific cases. We know that it's difficult to get notices of all changes of location to all litigants, especially pro se litigants. We understand that. Dealing with questions of hearings, continuances, those are matters as judges we deal with every day in every hearing, where we are balancing all of the factors in the case. If someone shows up, if they show up late, if they're unable to make it, that's nothing new from our standpoint. As the judges of the circuit court understand, there are some additional problems we recognize in getting people to hearings in a timely manner, and we are certainly taking that into consideration as we move these cases forward. Finally, I want to thank all the many partners, not just the county that's been involved in this process, but certainly the support of the county legislature is appreciated. We've had many partners in the judicial and legal communities that have also supported us and extended their assistance to us, including the Missouri Court of Appeals, the United States District Court for the Western District of Missouri, the Kansas City Municipal Court, Kansas City, Missouri Municipal Court, Lee Summit Municipal Court, the Office of the State Courts Administrator, UMKC Law School, the Kansas City Metropolitan Bar Association, and many, many others. And I want to also specifically thank the Sheriff's Department. They've assisted in providing some additional personnel to the alternative locations as we have moved cases. So thank you to the public for your patience, your understanding. We're going to continue to operate, and we look forward to being back in the building on the 19th and continue to process our cases. Marshana.
Just a couple quick notes before I open it up to questions. Jackson County offices were already scheduled to be closed for the holiday, the President's Day holiday on Monday, February 18th. So I just wanted to make that note and make that clear. And in addition to that, the 16th Circuit Court also has scheduled holidays within this next time frame. Those are Lincoln's birthday, which is February 12th, that's on a Tuesday, in addition to President's Day, which is on February 18th. So those are already scheduled holidays that will be taking place during these next few days. And with that, I will open it up to a few questions.
Mr. County Executive,
Yes.
you mentioned that you don't know what the price tag ultimately is going to be, and you expect insurance is going to cover a big portion of it. Do you have any ballpark in terms of what you think it might be? And if the part that insurance doesn't cover, where is the money going to come from to pick up the slack?
Well, it'd be probably premature for me to try to guess at a number, because right now we're still assessing and where we are, and I know that until we get that number, we're probably not going to be able to answer the second part of the question. We know what the first answer is on the insurance thing. So I think, in talking to Brian, we've had one meeting with the insurance company, but we just have so much assessing to do. They've got to do their work, and in the remodeling of some of the offices upstairs, we got water lines, we got equipment in the basement that needs to be replaced. So until we get a number, then we won't know where we are in terms of where the insurance stands.
Is KC Water going to charge you for the water?
I would assume they would. Yeah, I think so.
Hey, dealing with a historic building like that, 90 years old, what are some of the challenges in terms of the historical preservation of some of the courtrooms and the facility in general? And what's being done to ensure that that integrity is maintained?
Well, I think what you have to do there is you have to rely on the judges in the chambers. They know exactly what's in there of their own personal, what's personal to them. Also, I think we've discussed bringing in someone who has that ability to handle that part for us, so we don't rely on ourselves to try to make that decision. So we'll go outside and bring someone else in who has that expertise to take care of those things for us.
And with construction, does the county lose risk of the building maintaining its historical preservation status?
No, that would be the reason for bringing this person in, so he can tell us exactly where we need to pay attention to and so forth. So pretty similar to what we did when the historic courthouse was remodeled, the same way.
How familiar are you with the county's insurance policies, specifically what it says about water damage? I know my personal policy, I've got to buy a little extra insurance for water damage. Is that what the county had to do in this case? And can you explain what the county's water damage insurance might be?
No, I don't know all the details of the contract. Our county counselor is handling that part of it, and I haven't gotten a report yet from the county counselor as to where we stand in terms of all the issues that you brought up. So little beyond me at this point. But I know we do have insurance, but I think as soon as our county counselor gets back with us and let us know where we are, I'll be better able to answer that question for you.
Who's your insurance company?
We have Travelers would be our insurance company, and
Adjuster's been out there.
Lockton would be our broker.
And also county employees continue to get paid throughout the various closures.
Yes, everybody continues to get paid, yes. Uh-huh. Well, we really didn't miss a beat. I mean, we're fortunate that we have the historic courthouse, which basically duplicates the same services that we have downtown. And so it was easy to make the transition with our people. We have so many avenues that we could use to house our people at times like this. So we've been able to use the historic courthouse. We used some space at the election board, at our parks department, at our tech center that's right down the street for HR. So everybody had some place to go. So we didn't miss a beat in terms of services to the community. We just apologize for the inconvenience of the ones who would normally take the bus downtown, but just the additional travel, but the services remain the same.
So how has this impacted the inmates of the detention center? I know a lot of those people are pretrial. Has this had any impact on them?
I think Judge might be better to answer that question for me. Thank you.
Before he does,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Let's
Judge.
just switch back.
Yeah, go ahead, Judge.
We always try to prioritize criminal cases. And so in a situation like this, we've continued to do that. What we've essentially done is add dockets, if you will, or add hearings at the Criminal Justice Center. So there's occasions where we might have a judge hearing a case, and there's another judge in the hallway behind the courtroom ready to step in to hear their cases. So we're trying to add as many cases there at that building as we can, because what we don't want to do is delay those hearings for the people that are at the detention center, nor for the victims that are involved in those cases. They all deserve to have their cases heard very promptly. We've also added some facilities within the building for electronic communication, Polycom, so that hearings can be held where the attorneys might come into the conference room with the judge, and then the person from the detention center can participate via Polycom. So we're doing everything we can to increase the number of those hearings at that one location. We've also had cases moved out here to Independence so we can continue to keep those moving through the system.
Vast majority of cases have been heard, but obviously there's going to be some that have not. And so do you anticipate, that there could be, to some extent a backlog once things are fully operational? How quickly that can resolve itself?
Well, the hope and the goal from the start has been for that to not happen. So not only is it important to hear cases just because it's the right thing to do, and that is the important thing to do in all of this, but we don't want to have that backlog later on. Undoubtedly, there will be some of that, but the nice thing is we've partnered with a variety of other entities from the judicial community. Is we have had some courtrooms made available to us at Kansas City Municipal Court, the Court of Appeals, the federal court, and so what we're trying to do is move cases to those locations to avoid that. What we may find is we would take a week's worth of cases and hear them all in one day at an alternative location to try to avoid that from happening.
We've covered a lot here. Can you empathize with people on how they might be confused?
Yes.
This whole process, and is there any leniency for people who might not show up to the right court on the right day?
Absolutely empathize. I understand that, especially as cases get moved. That's an individual case-by-case judgment that all judges make. But I absolutely agree that if an individual is having a hard time, particularly if they're representing themselves, finding the location of their hearing, or certainly getting there if they're used to coming to the downtown courthouse and now we're asking them to come to Independence. We recognize that that's not going to work for everybody. It is absolutely something we're taking into consideration, and in those cases, if we need to continue the case or make other arrangements, we are doing that.
Judge, you mentioned in terms of communication, your website, and then also CaseNet. Not everybody also has
Right.
access to the internet. Are
Yeah.
people getting phone calls to let them know about these changes? That type of
One additional thing that we have done is, of course, put notices on the doors of the courthouse, and we have had individuals at the courthouse, so when a person would come there, we could direct them to the right location. So we're doing that. The gist of your question is there are some folks, obviously, that don't have access to any type of that communication. We try to reach out to them as best we can, call them if we can. There's a lot that we can't even reach by phone. So what happens in cases like those typically is they would get continued because we're not going to take any punitive action against an individual because they've not received notice or the ability to make it to their hearing.
You one last question?
Actually, I have a question for you. What surprises have you found through this whole process? Is there anything that's been surprising in trying to figure out how to deal with the complexity of this issue?
Sure. When dealing with historic buildings of this nature, there's always going to be complexities. To be perfectly honest, from the moment we hit the ground, we had some of the best people in Kansas City working on this project, and we were consistently advised on what we were running into, and decisions, some were made audible, but most of them were pretty well planned before we even did any construction activity. So I'd like to say that the plan went according to how we set it up, but obviously things happen, but I wouldn't say any significant complexities were entertained.
Can you just provide a summary of the extent of the damages? Courtrooms, what else has been damaged?
Sure. From the initial leak, like I mentioned, we suffered significant losses in the basement. This deals with most of our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing equipment. As far as the courtrooms go and the chambers and support services for the 16th Circuit Court was majority aesthetic, like I mentioned. I mean, we're not dealing with a whole lot of damage. We're just dealing with area of damage. So this is water extraction and things of that nature.
So like wet carpet, ceiling tiles?
Wet carpet, ceiling tiles, yes, absolutely.
Do you anticipate any other curveballs? I mean, it's really, really cold. This is where, things
We
tend to happen.
we have
One in the sixth floor, one in the basement.
Sure. We've taken every precaution that we can. Again, we're dealing with an 87-year-old building. I have a very strong team of union tradesmen, along with building technicians and whatnot. We have pretty much scoured every inch of this building looking for potential occurrences. But that's pretty much what we do anyway. I mean, we have a very proactive preventive maintenance program anyway, so these things happen, unfortunately, sometimes.
Possibly there could be additional leaks? Breaks?
Again, this is an 87-year-old building that we are attempting to be as proactive as possible. If I
All
could
right.
predict it, we wouldn't have it.
Thank you guys so much. I've got copies of some press releases that I can leave up here. Feel free to grab one of those.